Oh, good morning, everyone. You are tuned into 1100 WSGI, and this is Lee Marie with The Go Show. I'm so glad that you have joined us today, and I have to do something first off, and that is happy birthday, Kathy. My sister's birthday is today. I love her so, and I miss her so, and I would love to see her move to Tennessee along with all my family. Anyways, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for having a purpose for each and every one of us. Thank you for guiding us, directing us. May everything we do and say today just glorify you. We love you. We praise you. We need you. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
All right. Good morning, y'all. Thanksgiving is Thursday. I'm excited. Oh, there's so many things coming up. I absolutely love this time of year. I love the song. It's the most wonderful time.
Of the year.
That's right, because it is. It really is. And I'm excited. But anyway, so we do have a lot of calendar stuff. We also have Stephen with random information because he's always so good with that. But I do want to say thank you for everyone who came out to our sock hop last Friday because that was super fun. And if you missed it, you missed a really good time. There are videos on the Well in the Square Facebook page, so you can see us doing the twist and all
We
that kind of
packed the
stuff.
room. We packed the room then.
Wasn't it
Oh
fun?
yeah.
I want to do it every Friday. But we had a great time, and Linda was there with her beautiful Christmas dishes that she has mounted on these candle holders, and they're just beautiful. As a matter of fact, she sold a whole bunch of them, so that was cool that people got to get some Christmas shopping done. Speaking of Christmas shopping, guys, I want to tell you this coming Saturday is Shop Small Saturday, although I'm calling it Shop Small Springfield. How's that? Because the real Santa is going to be at Crossroads between 1 and 3 this Saturday doing photos. So you want to make sure you get over to Crossroads because it is the real Santa. And also, we are, it's Shop Small Saturday is a national type of thing. I think it's the U.S. Chamber of Commerce that kind of promotes that. Just reminding people to shop their neighborhoods, their communities because the money goes, it means so much more to those families and to our economy and our community. So we want to encourage people to shop small. There's going to be a lot of great deals in the square on Saturday because Santa always brings a crowd. So I know that well in the square we will have some stuff as well on sale and open. So we hope to see you this Saturday in the downtown Springfield area. Crossroads is located at 600 South Main Street in Springfield. And I tell you, they just got in a whole bunch of wonderful items for sale. So if you're looking for a unique gift, Crossroads is a great place to go, as well as one of our sponsors, and that is Southside. They have a lot of great gifts too, but we'll talk about them later. And there's a lot of good calendar information coming up. So I'll probably just sprinkle that in between Steven's little random good information stuff that he's got because I know he's anxious to talk.
What?
I know you're anxious to talk, but I am sad that you know what last night was the first Tuesday in 14 weeks without Shannon and John in Wellspring Ministries.
Yeah, Wellsprings. They're doing some great work there with Wellsprings Ministries. Yes, they are.
And so last night was the first night that we didn't get to meet, and
I guess
so
I could throw in a few things on the end there.
okay,
Things that people should remember, and I
okay,
think some of the most important things that you could take away from that is that when you are when you wake up in the morning and you feel bad, you know, you want to root that out, okay? Because feelings are deceiving, right? We can't trust our feelings. We have to trust what we know is right in our head. So we know when something isn't right and we don't feel right, we need to figure out what's going on with us. You know, it's not about someone else, although we want to blame someone else, but it's not about someone else. We need to figure out what's going on with us. And so many people today running around. I know this, and there's a culture out there right now that says that if you, it's worse to hurt somebody's feelings than it is to tell the truth. In other words, lying to them is not as bad. So anyway, there's a culture out there, and I just say this culture has gone very wayward when it comes to how much feelings have been elevated here. Now, people feel bad for many different reasons, right? I know. And so it isn't always necessarily everybody in the world doesn't have to change what they're doing so I feel better. That's not the way it is. Not the way it works. I need to work on myself if I want to feel better. And I think that's one of the big takeaways there. And one way you can work on yourself is to go to just go deep inside and find out where you need to actually forgive yourself and forgive others and ask for forgiveness. And one of the great things about that is that when you ask for forgiveness, when you verbalize it, you feel different. And so, hey, that takes care of one issue right there. But another issue of that is that you've now freed yourself intellectually. You've freed your mind from that burden, whatever it might be. And that's another a great aspect of forgiveness and repentance. And so I think those are the main takeaways there in that um, when we talk about relationships and healing relationships, and in the Garden of Eden, they say the Garden of Eden, the relationship between man and God was broken. And when Jesus comes back and is sacrificed for our sins, that is a moment where the relationship has an opportunity to be healed. Okay, now the opportunity to be healed or that relationship can be rejoined after that moment. And that is how the story works. Now, if you don't understand that story, you want to get with somebody at the church or whatever and figure it out. But the basic idea there is that a relationship was broken and it was brought back together again. And now we have the power to heal that relationship in many different ways. And that same process works with relationships with people, everyday and average people, people at your work, people at your home. When relationships are broken, they can be rejoined and they can be. And thank God through forgiveness and repentance, we can do that with most of our relationships, if not all of our relationships. Now, there might be blocks to people. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be friends with somebody that offended you. You may not be. That's okay. It doesn't mean you have to be friends. It just means you don't carry the burden around anymore. You don't carry the burden of that offense with you anymore. And that's something that just plagues you. That's like carrying that burden around. And it's kind of like taking poison and wishing your enemy dies. So we don't want to do that. And that's kind of, so we have the big takeaway there is that when you're freed from burdens, you can be free from burdens, from everyday burdens, and you can be freed from those. And it's about a relationship that was broken and a relationship that can be put back together again. So anyway, that is a sort of a wrap up on that. And we talked a lot about that, but I think that relationships are important in how we live because it affects how we feel about our everyday life. And I think feelings become important in that sense. That's true, but they're not all important. One of the most important things to understand is that we can live free from burdens. We don't have to be burdened constantly. There are going to be times when we suffer burdens. And here it is too. It's not wrong to suffer burdens. It's not wrong. It's just uncomfortable. Okay? And I would prefer to live without suffering a burden if I was going to say, just like I'd prefer to live with a lot more money, right? It's not wrong to not have a lot more money, but I would prefer to live with a lot more money, just like I would prefer to live with a lot less burdens. It's not wrong. Some people will live with burdens. I know that. It's not necessarily a wrong thing, but it's a very uncomfortable thing to have burdens. And people who have to suffer burdens all of their life do have to suffer burdens all of their life. And, I feel
I
bad.
do want to remind everyone of this one scripture, and that is be thankful in all things. And that's 1 Thessalonians 5:18. So I know that it's hard, when we have these burdens, but we are to give thanks in all things. So just a
An
reminder on that.
interesting note here. If you noticed, what would give you the indication? You might think that I feel a little bit patriotic today, and I just wanted to know if anybody can figure out who's watching right now, if anybody can figure out why I might feel patriotic today, and that could be an article of clothing or something else. I don't know. Linda's laughing at me now because she can see the shirt I'm wearing here because it says 1776 on the front and it says 2026.
Ah, there we go.
2026 on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And I just turned around so you couldn't hear me, but that was 1776 to 2026, and I was trying to do the math on that, and I couldn't figure it out. And it said, it occurred to me, it must be an even number because they wouldn't do that if it wasn't an even number, right? So there's something going on there. And I remember, if you remember when you were a kid way back in the day, there was a centennial, the bicentennial, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 200 years, right? Well, it's been 50 years. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
250 years, because there was the bicentennial
Yep.
when we were little children.
That's right.
And remember that, how big a big deal
It
that
was
was?
huge. Everything.
I
was-
remember
yeah.
they painted 1776 on the big dam that was
Yes.
in the river up above where we grew up,
Mm-hmm.
in the big dam there on the Santa Ana River.
Yeah.
And it was 1776 for a long time, and it was all with a big flag painted on there. And
totally
it
remember
was
that.
Probably, what, 1,000 feet across. But it
That's
was
so funny. That
huge.
was like decades before we even met, but we both would drive by that all the time.
I would drive by that every single day. That in 1776, it was an important thing for us when we were kids, and that just shows you how that kind of communication is so influential, and how we are influenced as children. And that is a political influence. We talk about that all the time,
Mhm.
that those are political influences,
Mhm.
because that fosters patriotism. It's one of the things that does it. And we became patriots at that time because of that. So we felt patriotic, and we started to look it up. And, it was everything rah, 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 George Washington and the founding fathers and all that. We talk about the founding fathers of this country. And as little children, painting that dam with the 1776 and the American flag really stirred up a huge swath of patriotism in the area where we live.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. You know what? Before you move off of that, I have something patriotic to tell people. Because today, yes, today, Wednesday, November 26th, Kathy's birthday, today is the last day to early vote for this general election. That's very important. And you only have until noon today because the election office is closing early for Thanksgiving. So the polls have already opened. They opened at 8 a.m. So if you have not voted in the last week or so, you need to vote. Now, I was talking with a really close friend the other day who said, "Oh, yeah, I voted last month." I go, "Oh, no, that was just the primary." So a lot of people don't realize that they need to go out and vote again. That was only a primary about a month ago. So, yes, you need to get out. If you can't get out by noon today, which I highly recommend, guys, because the Christmas season is a very busy season and you don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday, December 2nd, that can prevent you from getting to the polls. Now, if you absolutely can't make it to the election office today by noon, then the election day is going to be this Tuesday, December 2nd.
Oh, this Tuesday is election day.
Yes,
So that's that's less than a week away.
it is.
Yeah, for election day. And you have to vote on that day, or you're not going to get your vote in.
Right.
You know what? I decided I'm going to vote for the person with the prettiest sign.
Stop it. Anyways,
I vote for the nicest sign.
so today you go to the election
Best sign.
office on Brown Street. Today you go to the election office on Brown Street, the same office that you pay your tags and all that. I could just turn your mic off just like that. Or, and I'm laughing because I just turned your mic off. Or on Tuesday, you have to go to your actual voting location, your neighborhood polling location, and those are open at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Yeah, she's on a delay. She's laughing now because she knows I turned your mic off. So again, today before noon at the election office, which is it's very easy there, or your polling location this Tuesday between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. All right, I'm turning Stephen's mic back on. I
All
love
right,
that
turn my
power.
mic back on there.
I need to have this type of a contraption just in regular life.
She turned my mic off because, I'll interrupt her and she'll forget what she's trying to say. So
I got the power.
she's got headphones on there.
Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So that was my little patriotic
So what does
thing
that
because
mean? It means 250 years, this country, so since we declared, since we won our independence. Now, people don't realize how difficult of a battle that really was. We were up against actually the finest standing army in the world, which was the British Army, and we had a ragtag group of fighting soldiers here. And I think that, and we were totally outnumbered, I'm sure. They also had the best Navy in the world at the time, the best well-equipped standing army in the world at the time. And we were a ragtag group. And another thing to remember about that war is, and I'm into guns too. I'm kind of a gun guy, and I love my guns. And right now we just went through muzzleloader season, and you have to load that thing from the front, and people are hunting with a muzzleloader rifle. And to remind us, and that's a good reminder because that's the way they had to load their rifles back during that war. So it was one shot at a time. It might take anywhere from 11 seconds to 30 seconds to load that. And I can imagine in the rush of battle, all the distractions and everybody running around, it's going to be pretty hard to load that thing. and fire and then load again. And by the time you load and fire one shot, just think about it. You missed. That guy's got to be close enough to hit. Like they said, don't shoot till you see the whites of their eyes, because those guns back then weren't very accurate. So if they were too far away, you were probably going to miss. But I know they had different ways of fighting. But our guys had to hide behind trees because we had short of numbers. So we learned about guerrilla warfare back then, and we had to practice some of that hiding behind trees shooting in order to win that war, because we couldn't go out in the open battlefield. I mean, be wiped out and slaughtered, right? But imagine that. You shoot one, and if your enemy was close enough for you to see the whites of his eyes, he could actually run up on you before you could even load again. And you were going to be in a hand-to-hand combat after one shot. And so I can imagine how terrifying that would be. And I'm not the largest man in the world. I'm not a very large statured man, but I can imagine how terrifying that would be for anybody, any man of any size, because you fire one shot, you miss, and you're now in a fist fight with a knife to the death, man to man. And I just say that is one of the scariest ideas to think about, how we had to fight back then. Nowadays, it's a little bit different, but to think about what our ancestors had to go through to achieve their independence from Great Britain, it is just a terrifying experience to think about having to go through that. Now, we're talking about war here, and we're talking about independence and all that. I came up with some things. I've been reading a book lately, and I'm a big reader. And I've reading this book about the coming of the Third Reich, and that was after the First World War in Germany. And I looked up a few numbers here, and they say, we were talking about some things. What does that have to do? They say, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China, right? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Well, Lee Marie, as you know, we just went through an egg crisis last year, right? Remember when the eggs went, there were no eggs. And then when the eggs finally showed up, they were like $12 a dozen or something. It was just ridiculous. Well, I was looking at the price of eggs back in the day after World War I. When Germany lost the war, see, they were forced to pay reparations, and they went through hyperinflation. And they weren't the only country that went through hyperinflation. There were several, and I'll just read off a couple real quick here, because this is just going to astonish. Some people are going to be blown away. I don't think they teach this in school. It's pretty scary stuff. Many countries were affected by the price, and you say here, what happened was that it would say I would talk about several countries here, but I'm just a few to name real quick. After World War I, the price in Austria, things cost 14,000 times more than they did before the war. And in Hungary, it was 2,500,000 times more expensive. In Poland, it was 4,000 million times. In Poland, it was 2,500,000 times more expensive. And in Russia, it was 4,000 million times more in Russia. But think about this. In Germany, now that sounds like some pretty high inflation. 14,000 times more expensive. So if a dozen eggs cost you $1, now it costs $14,000. But check this out. In Germany, because of several factors, and I'll talk about those real quick in just a minute. In Germany, in the summer of 1923, it reached 1 billion with a B, billion times more expensive than pre-war prices. 1 billion times more expensive. Now, I know that is hard to believe, very hard to believe. But I checked this from several different sources now, and I'm looking at some precedent. If people out there know their history better than I do, and they probably do, I'm sure they do, but you can check this out here. We're talking about the price of eggs and all that. The pre-war price of egg in 1914 in America, eggs were about 4 cents. And in Germany, they were about 8 cents. But after the war, in November of 1923 in Germany, check this out. You will not believe it. 80 million marks. It went from 8 cents of a mark to 80 million marks for one egg. Now, What does that mean? That means that the government, and they were printing money. They were printing money to pay their debts because they had to pay reparations after the war because they lost. Losers have to pay, and they had to pay reparations. And they also had to pay their workers. They had to pay their government workers and everybody else. And the country was actually taken over by socialists during that time. And they had a new republic, and they were trying to foster their new republic. And because of that, they had trade unions were strengthened and all that. And so workers were on strike. And when workers went on strike because they weren't getting paid enough, because the economy was so bad, the government had to print more money to pay the workers. And when they did that, it devalued their currency. They also had to print more money to pay their foreign debts, and that devalued their currency. And there were several other things that caused them to have to print more money. And the more money they printed, the less it was worth. Pretty soon, they printed so much money, they started running out of ink, and they started printing money only on one side of the paper. So they would get a German mark or what have you, and it would be printed on one side of the paper. You know, to buy a loaf of bread, it cost $1 billion to buy a loaf of bread. 1 billion German dollars.
Oh my goodness.
1 billion. They would have to take a whole cartload, a shopping cart full of money packed to the top to buy one loaf of bread.
Oh my goodness.
When they would go to pick up their checks, they'd have to take shopping carts because they had to pay them. And so many, because, the value of the money went down because they printed so much money. Now, that is very scary. So what people had to resort to, because they were starving to death, and what they had to resort to, of course, was black market. People had to smuggle food in. They had to smuggle anything that they wanted had to be smuggled into that country, and that was against the law. And so crimes for smuggling and crimes for theft went up 7 times. So they went up to 360,000 from less than like 25,000 per year. So crime went up, poverty went up, and all of this because the Weimar government was trying to create a new republic, and by doing that, they were socialized, and they had tried to hand the government over to the people, and the government tried to pay for everything, and they couldn't. They had to print more money. They didn't have the money, and the price went down. Now, eventually, they restructured that by 1924, and they were able to finally get back on track. But at one point, it cost 80 billion marks to buy one egg. Now, that is the most expensive in the history of the world. When the price of eggs goes up today, y'all just remember what happened in Germany in the summer, in the summer and in November, the summer and winter of 1923, when eggs cost $80 billion.
Wow. Jeez.
Lee Marie, what do you have to say about that?
Wow.
She didn't know. Linda is shaking her head. She can't believe it. I know. Y'all are going to have to go online, and y'all are going to have to check this out. This is very, very interesting. But I'm proud of this country where eggs don't cost $80 billion. And I'm proud that we don't print money out of control like that, that we actually put a check on that. And I know that they were talking about interest rates today and how much eggs cost and all that. And we just take a look at that and say, we are very thankful we live in the greatest country in the world. Since 1776 to 2026, we have 250 years. So we're going into our 200, that's 200, wow. That is a long, long, long time. So we've got a 250-year celebration coming up. Now, they said it wouldn't last, right? What did Benjamin Franklin say? He said, now we have a republic. And the only question is, can you keep it? No, can you keep it? And one thing that destroys republics is economy. When the economy goes bad, you know what happens. And I'll tell you what happened in Germany. When the economy went bad in 1923, it went so bad that an egg cost 80 billion marks, which is like $80 billion. At the time of pre-war prices, one U.S. dollar was worth about, in marks, German marks, it was about 4 to 7, depending on a sliding scale. It could be between 4 and 7 German dollars to every $1. And of course, it went to over $6 billion German marks to $1 in the winter of 1923. And so 1 U.S. dollar was worth about 6 billion German marks in November of 1923. Now, that was, of course, before the Great Depression of 1929 in America. But of course, to understand that, Germany went through that because they printed too much money to pay their debts. That was one of the biggest factors involved in that. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that they tried to do to preserve their republic were the very things that hurt them. Printing more money, allowing strong trade unions and things of that nature where workers went on strike, putting heavy taxation and heavy restrictions on their big industrial companies, which hurt them. It made it very, very hard to do business, very hard to trade, and having trade embargoes and trade restrictions with other countries. All of those things really killed their economy and put them down in the tank. Now, what happened after that was, even though they were really moving towards a more open society, they were moving towards a more liberal society and moving towards a more social society where there was Social Security and other things, it still did not help them. In fact, people longed for the days of the old empire and wanted to return to the days of the Kaiser, Kaiser Wilhelm II. And they wanted to return to that, and they became very patriotic. And since most of the civil service jobs were filled by ex-Army officers and ex-Army workers, I can tell you that the veterans were really rose up. And they were a minority, of course, but they were strong enough to influence their families and their people, and they wanted to become more conservative. They longed for the days when traditional values were important to them, and they longed for the days of the old empire under the Kaiser. And so what happened was they started singing these old songs, and they started using media, and they became more right and more right and more right. And when they went to the far right, they went totally overboard. And as we know what happened after that, the Nazis rose to power and Hitler rose to power, a complete lunatic, and took that country back off the edge of the cliff on the other side. They went over one cliff in 1914 to 1918, and then they went over another cliff in the 1930s and 40s with the far right group. So we know what happened. We know that the economy was the factor. When the economy went bad, the people lost faith in their government. They overthrew it with a far-right regime, a dictatorship, so to speak, and a far-right dictatorship. Same thing happened in Italy. Same thing happened in several countries over the years. We've seen it time and time and time again. We've seen both the left fail and we've seen the right fail in many different ways. Those countries failed, and they failed because their economies failed. So the economy is really the most important thing for a country, and it's one of those things that we guard very, very carefully, and it's why we have safeguards in this country. And we are so thankful that we have a great, great nation, a very wealthy nation, and we should all be thanking God today that we have a 250th year anniversary coming up, and we are still the greatest country in the world. And we are a republic that has survived, a republic that has, we should take pride in that when so many republics failed, like the one we were just talking about here, the Weimar Republic in Germany. It failed before it even got its feet off the ground, but our country did not fail. Our republic survived, and we became the wealthiest and the strongest nation in the world. And today we are the wealthiest and the strongest nation in the world. And that is something to be thankful for and is something to
Hallelujah.
take pride in.
All right. Well, thank you. That was a very good little patriotic session there. Linda's reminding me we do need to talk about one of our friends here. And Coldstream Christian Camp has a very cool event coming up on Sunday, December 14th. It's Christmas at Coldstream. It's from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. This is a free event, but you do need to excuse me, you do need to go online and get your ticket. And so you can go to their website or on my Facebook page, I did post the link to tickets. They're going to have, let's see, they're having a silent auction, guys. So they are still collecting silent auction items. But then also, if you want to be a sponsor, a bronze sponsor is 50, silver sponsor is 100. It goes up from there. You can sponsor them as well. And of course, all that money, goes to scholarships for kids camps. So what a great way to sow into the kingdom. So this is going to be in Denson Hall right there at Coldstream. They're going to do songs, cookies, hot drinks, and lots of just great fellowship time. So come on out to Coldstream Christian Camp. They are one of our sponsors, and they are doing their Christmas at Coldstream on Sunday, December 14th, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Their address is located at 4730 Goodman Road in Adams. It's only about 15 minutes from here. If you want to see their website, it's coldstreamchristiancamp.org. You can call and get a tour. I know right now they are already booking quite a few dates up for next year. And that phone number is 615-696-2208. Again, that's 615-696-2208. Another friend we wanted to talk about is Southside because Linda's got some stuff over there that you're going to want to go check out. But a lot of people, actually, a lot of local people have original gifts, handmade gifts over there. So you want to get over to Southside. It's not just your full service pharmacy, but so much more. And we just love these small town, family run drugstores. They're located at 1000 South Main Street, and they're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can visit their website at southsidedrugco.com for more information. Of course, make sure you told them you heard about them on the Go Show. All right. Do you want to talk about Ridgetop Mower for me?
Ridgetop Mower is
Yes.
located at 1100 Matthew Street in the heart of Springfield, and they are a great. We were talking about something with Gary Rastelli down there, and we talked about Gary week after week here because he is an amazing person, really. Um, One thing about Gary is that he knows lawnmowers, and he knows lawnmowers from way back to the latest lawnmower. He understands how they work, where they work. He's not a hack. He knows how to work on mowers. If you've got a problem you cannot figure out, if you've got a problem that's too big for you, you need to call Gary at Ridgetop Mower, get it down there, and then just drive on in and ask him. You can talk to him. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. He might even tell you what you need to do to fix it and give you some options. He's always honest that way. He says, well, you can bring it to me and I'll fix it, or you can try this and try that. If it's too big of a job for you, of course, you always want to bring it in, or he has pickup and delivery. He will pick that mower up for you and deliver it back to you when it's done and ready. And he'll do it at a great price. He'll also tell you the truth. He's not going to lie to you. He'll tell you the truth. He'll tell you how much it's going to cost. And he'll also tell you whether or not it's worth the fix. Sometimes mowers cost so much to fix, they're not even worth keeping. Sometimes you just want to get yourself a different mower. And he will be honest with you on that. And here's another thing. You go to another mower shop and you want to take your mower in to get it fixed, and they tell you, well, it's not worth fixing and we're not going to fix it. Well, sometimes a lot of the time, they will do that. Gary will not do that. He will tell you, well, it's going to cost a lot to fix, and it might be almost as much as the thing is worth. And if you really want me to fix it, then I will fix it. But a lot of shops won't do that. And I really like Gary for that, because he will go the extra mile. Because you're running a big risk. When you fix a mower like that, you're running the big risk that people are not going to be happy with it, because it's still going to be an old beat up mower that barely runs. So that's one of the things that you run the risk of when you fix somebody's mower. But Gary is always willing to go ahead and fix it anyway for you and get it back running again. It may only get one season. It may get 2 seasons. It may get 4 seasons. It may get a lot more than that. It may not. But when you're working with an old mower that's run down and pretty beat up, a lot of shops are not going to fix it. They're going to force you to buy a new mower. And they often want to sell you a mower that they have, which is part of the issue there too. Now, sometimes we do a trade out. Sometimes Gary does have a good mower out there you can trade out for you. But sometimes, you're just going to have to fix it or get yourself a new mower. Gary will tell you the truth. He's an honest guy. He'll tell you how much it's going to cost. He will pick up and deliver, and he services regularly. He's got so many people out here rely on him every single season. They bring their mower in, they get the oil change, they get all of the service done on it, lubrication, everything they need, and that keep that mower running for another season. And that is really, most of the time, that's what happens. You bring your mower in, you get it fixed up, you get it lubed, you get an oil change on it, and you're good to go for another season. And I've seen mowers we've been working on for 20 years, and they still keep bringing them back. They bring them back every single spring or every single winter. They get it worked on, they get the oil change, and that mower is still running strong. And so
Yeah, that's
sometimes
smart.
you get a mower like
Yeah.
that. I've seen it.
Yeah, and then the flip side of that, because I do know some friends too that get new zero turns all the time because they neglect them and they leave them outside. They don't blow the grass off of them, and they just all rot, and just so many things. But yeah, if you take care of them, guys, they will take care of you.
Good maintenance. Good maintenance means a good mechanic. You got to have a good mechanic that knows your mower very well, that knows mowers. And the average person out there barely knows how to use that mower properly. And most people, they buy a new mower and they don't really know how to use it properly. And they run into a little problem there. So you want to get some tips from your friends when you get a new mower to make sure you are using the mower properly and you're running it right. And that will help too, because sometimes we have to educate people a little bit on how those mowers are to be run. And another thing is always have that oil changed every single year, and always run that gas out of it, because those carburetors will go bad quick if you leave that old gas in there over winter.
Okay, all right. And you can pick up a sticker, a WSGI sticker, right over at Ridgetop Mower of Springfield. They are right behind Ace Hardware, and their phone number is 615-855-0044. If you say Lee Marie sent you, you can save 10% off parts and labor. So go see Ridgetop Mower of Springfield. All right. This is Stephen Astaire in as my guest today, and this is Lee Marie with The Go Show. I will, I guess, be filling in for Laverne on Friday morning. I just found out she's not going to be here, so that'll be fun. And then, of course, next Friday is First Friday, so we will have the Wild Doc on. And you know, guys, Wild Doc. Okay, so I know Facebook, they delete live videos after 30 days, so you can't find the old Go Show live docs, but you can go on to YouTube and find the old Go Shows with Wild Doc. And I highly recommend it, guys, because I keep hearing story after story of people that are doing things that Wild Doc talks about all the time about, don't do this, or do this or whatever. And they're just, and they're wondering why they're getting into all this problem, these problems.
Yeah, a lot of the problem is the diet, and we've known this for years and years that the American diet has degraded over the time, and now we eat a lot of things that aren't good for us, and over time that will affect our health.
And don't they say it's a sad diet, right? Standard
we
American.
are living. We are
Standard
living.
American diet, SAD.
Are we living longer? Yeah, but we're not living healthier, and that's the thing. I want to live. What was that? What was that old story? Old story, where the guy had wished he was given a free wish, right? I guess a genie in a bottle or something like that. So it's like someone can. I know y'all know your stories better than I do, but he was given a wish, and he wished for long life, but one problem was he had a long life, and he just kept getting older and older and weaker and weaker, and he kept living a long life, older and weaker and older and weaker. And then he went back to the genie and he said, like, hey, I wish for a long life. It didn't work. And the genie said, yeah, you wish for a long life, but you didn't wish for a long, youthful life.
Or healthy, yeah.
So you didn't wish for youth. You wished for a long life, and so you got a long, miserable life. Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about living better as you live longer, and to live better as you live longer will require a little bit of analysis. You want to take a look at your diet and say, am I eating a lot of stuff that's poisoning me? And you might be. You really might be. And a lot of the new diseases, I would say, I talked to one doctor, and I remember this doctor 30 years ago. She said that 90% of the American diseases are caused by a bad diet.
I've heard that number too.
And I'm like, wow, that's a lot. It's like everything that plagues us is caused by a bad diet. If you look at all the major medications that are prescribed, most of those medications are prescribed for symptoms of things that were caused by a bad diet. So we do look at our diet, and we know we eat too much sugar, and I know I'm one of the biggest offenders out there. I love it. And if Linda makes a cake, I'm going to eat most of it myself because she makes the best cakes in the world. She really does. And so I love Linda's cake.
But maybe,
she's a good cake maker.
And we're right right before Thanksgiving, so it won't make people like upset. But maybe just have a little taste of that pumpkin pie, right?
Well, you know what I've been doing lately, and this is something that anybody can do. I can tell you right now.
Right.
You go to the store, go down to the local store, and this is why America is the greatest country in the world, because we live in Middle Tennessee, and we can get grapefruit that was grown in who knows where, Florida, California. Grapefruit is one of the fruits that will save your life. I might eat a bad diet, but I eat 2 or 3 grapefruits throughout the week, and it just fixes everything.
Helps. It does help.
It just turns it all around.
No, don't talk too general, like fixes everything. But grapefruits are extremely good for you.
They will clean your liver. They'll get you straight again.
They're good for blood. They're good for so many things. Thank you, Robin. Robin just said, very informative show this morning. Y'all rock. So shout out to Robin. Thank you for watching, Robin. Okay, guys, we only have 15 minutes left, and we do have a lot of calendar items. Guys, remember, this is the most wonderful time of the year, which means there's a lot of great things that you could invite each other to. So I know some of you are at home and you're sad, and maybe you're like, you're single and you wish you were married, and you're married and you wish you were single, like all this stuff, whatever, guys. Do not listen to the lies of the enemy, okay? He does that to distract you. You want to make sure that you are focusing on Jesus this holiday season and inviting people to go to things.
I want to remind people too that Christmas is a Christian holiday. I don't know where it came from and how they all put it together, but the way we celebrate Christmas is the birth of Jesus.
Amen.
Now, that might have meant something 10,000 years ago to somebody else, but to us, it's celebrating the birth of Jesus. And I don't care what other people did a million years ago.
Hmm.
We celebrate Christmas because it is for us the birth of Jesus.
Amen.
So, and if anybody should be able to understand, it's very easy. That's why it's Christmas. It's not Xmas. It's
Hmm.
not any other thing you want to call it.
Hmm.
It's Christmas because it's about the birth of Jesus, the baby Jesus. Now, I know that there is we think of Jesus. We know Jesus in the manger. We know the whole story. The wise men that came and brought him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. We know that the animals were there. We see this, and we have these wonderful things that people do. Some of these churches bring in the animals,
Hmm.
right? They bring in the hay and a stable and all that. They bring in Mary and Joseph, and they've got the baby in the manger and all that. And we love that. Who doesn't love that? This is one of the greatest times of the year, and it is America's greatest holiday. It truly is. Even though 4th of July signifies, of course, the founding of our nation, Christmas is the biggest holiday. Everybody gets to give gifts. You decorate the house. You put lights up, everything else. I mean, it really is the biggest holiday. And it is the holiday that retailers rely on for shoppers to come and shop. And it's when they hopefully will get back into the black again because it's called Black Friday for a reason. For the longest time, I didn't know why they call it Black Friday. It's because that's the day they can finally pay their bills, y'all. Enough people get out there and shop, and they can pay their bills again. So, I know that's a great thing. We love to be able to pay our bills, don't we? We don't want to be in debt all the time.
But there are so many great events, guys, and we really want to make sure that, yes, you're focusing on Jesus and you're also getting out because there's so many great things to invite people to. Now, here's one that's going on tonight, and this is a Thanksgiving and praise service. This is at the Faith Baptist Church in Madison, where our friend Mark Thomas is the worship leader. And that is going to be at 7 p.m., Wednesday, November 26th. Faith Baptist Church is located at 1602 North Gallatin Road in Madison. He is an amazing...
He is so talented.
Yeah.
Okay, this man, he is so talented. We worked with him. He put together a 99? I think it was 98 at one point, but we had 90 people on stage at the Grand Ole Opry, and 90 in the chorus. And so this chorale had 90 singers in it, and all these different sections. He put that together. He is so talented.
And so his church is doing
Amazing.
something tonight. So I highly encourage you guys to get out there because that will be a great thing. But I know a lot of churches are doing things, so make sure you find a church and get out there just to focus on, thanking God and praising Him. That'd be a wonderful opportunity. There's a lot of things coming up. Like I said, this Saturday, a lot of things are happening as far as, oh my goodness, I'm gonna share a bunch on the Lee Marie Facebook page. But I do also want to tell you, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but this Monday, December 1st, the auction opens for Coldstream. So if you still want to donate an auction item, get it to them as soon as possible. But they're going to do the auction starting on the internet. So that's kind of a fun way if you can't make it out to their Christmas party. But one of our favorite Christmas parties coming up, we got to tell you about the Old Time Christmas Ball.
Old Time Christmas Ball.
Old Timey Christmas Ball, Friday, December 12th, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. This is something totally different,
We are going
guys.
to dress up like it's 1836.
We sure are. Tickets are only $10 pre-sale and $20 at the door. So make sure, guys, you get a pre-sale ticket on this. We'll have free light refreshments. We'll have a Dickens of a good time.
It's going to be like Charles Dickens, y'all.
Yep,
Come
and
on
a
out
prize for best dressed. You can still sew a gown to the ground. You can still sew a skirt. You have time to sew a skirt
You
in
have
our
time to sew a
sewing
skirt.
class. So
Ladies, get into sewing class. Get yourself a skirt made.
Yes.
Old-timey skirt.
Carla
And,
and
we
Michelle
can
are
dress
doing
up.
such a wonderful job in our sewing class, guys, over at Well in the Square. It's right next to Crossroads. The sewing class is right after Steve. No, wait. Yes, you have on Monday, you have your flexibility and body efficiency class, guys. This is a great way, especially right now, to make your bodies more efficient so they burn more fat during the holidays. So get on out to Steven's class. It is every Monday at 9 a.m. And after that, at 10 o'clock, you can go to the sewing class. And again, you want to pre-register because it's a lot easier for them to be able to prep for how many students they have. So the sewing class is $20 pre-reg, $30 at the door. Yeah, 30 at the door. You can still sew a skirt to the ground, and we have fabric already and thread and everything. So all you have to do is sign up for that sewing class. It is this Monday, but after that it's going to be kind of hard because the dance is going to be December 12th, and that is coming up real
How
close.
many Cinderellas are going to be at that dance?
I know we're gonna have a Cinderella ball, y'all. So you make sure you come out. It's just going to be something totally
So let the
fun.
gentlemen know out there, if there are gentlemen out there that want to
Yes,
go to this, because we want gentlemen, right?
yes, we
There are going to be a lot of
do.
ladies there, and they're going to be dressed up like Cinderella.
Hmm.
And so we have a lot of Cinderellas. We're going to need some princes to show up there. We need a few prints.
And guys, if you
Come on
don't
in.
have clothes to wear, let me tell you, I have a lot of men's button-down shirts that y'all can borrow. Okay, because we used to do shows with like 50 people in them, and we brought all the wardrobe with us. So we have button-down shirts you can borrow. Matter of fact, we have about 40 pairs of pants, dress slacks that you can borrow as well, as long as you're not too much taller than Steven. No, I've got them in actually I got them in a lot of different sizes because we used to put on big shows, and so we have a lot of different sizes. So if you want to borrow some clothes, we probably have your size. So I don't want anything to keep anybody away, but it's going to be super fun. Old timey Christmas ball. It's going to be at Well in the Square. So you go inside Crossroads, go down to the back ballroom where we had the sock hop last Friday, and two Fridays ago we had Steve Gerald come out. Which, by the way, thank you community. We raised $564 for Operation Christmas Child. So that was awesome,
That is
guys.
such a nice dance floor too. So
And Steve did
we're
such
going
a
to be
fun
waltzing.
job.
We are going to do a lot of waltzing on that Christmas ball day.
Yes, and we'll
We
do
are
a
going to
waltz
waltz.
lesson at the beginning.
We will teach everybody how to do the waltz. It will be great. And we will do some other dances as well,
Hmm.
some other old time dances. A lot
Yes,
of
we
fun there.
will.
We'll have lots of music. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have food and music and prizes, and we are going to have a good time.
So make
Come
sure
on
you
down
get that
to
on your
the, what are you
calendar.
calling that? The holiday ball?
We're calling it the old timey Christmas ball.
It's the old
And
timey
I forget
Christmas.
who it was that I was talking to about it. And because I didn't, pick that wording. And they go, oh, that's like old timey. I go, oh, I love that. Let's call it that. So, anyways, that is coming up real soon, guys. But
The artwork on that is beautiful.
oh,
We have a lady who does
yes,
great artwork,
she
and
does.
she is an amazing person.
Terry Morris from Molly Be Creative. She also did our sock hop flyer. She also did this amazing Well in the Square logo that could not have been more perfect.
It is beautiful.
I love it. You guys might have seen it on the window right by Crossroads. So, take advantage. Line dancing, guys, is getting big. And so get in and learn some line dances. You do not need any experience. You do not need a partner. You don't need any rhythm. It's okay if you have 4 left feet, 3 left feet, 2 left feet, whatever. Come on out and line dance. We're just getting some good exercise. And that's every Tuesday and Thursday. Except for Thanksgiving, I will not be having a class. But every other Tuesday and Thursday, we will. Every Tuesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. And then every Tuesday night at
Yeah, just
5:30
check it
p.m.
out. Come on by Well in the Square and then find out. Just pick up a flyer, and you can pick the time you want to come in,
Hmm.
whatever good for you, and you can learn to dance. And it is so much fun.
It
Never too
is.
late. In fact, dance while you can. Dance while you have legs,
Hmm.
and sing while you have a voice. That's
That's
what I
right.
say.
Amen. And also, I know a lot of you want to get all spiffied up for the holidays. Guess what, guys? DK Styles can fit you in for a styling, for a color, a perm, a waxing, a tan, whatever you want to do before the holidays. And so call DK
You want to
Styles.
look good. You want to look good for the holidays.
There you go.
You want to be there.
You can call them at 615-384-8999. Again, that's 615-384-8999. They have a lot of professionals there. You're not going to just get some new person, randomly. They're such great quality over there. They're located at 3538 Tom Austin Highway in Springfield. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturdays, 8 to 3. So, guys, if you still need to get in before Thanksgiving, you might be able to get a last minute appointment today. Make sure you tell them that you heard about them on the Go Show. I love DK Styles.
I would say, ladies and gentlemen, what does a young man? What should a young man look like? Should he? We're talking about the old timey ball. Come on in, gentlemen.
Hmm.
We're talking about the Cinderellas out there. But I know that Cinderella wants a man who looks sharp, right? Cinderella's looking for a man who looks sharp's got a good haircut.
Like you, Stephen. You look fabulous.
Do I have a good haircut today?
You do.
Look sharp. Look sharp. Get a good haircut at DK Styles,
Oh.
and you want to look good. When you're going to a Christmas party or or Thanksgiving party or something like that, what's the first thing you think about before you go to the party? Like, first thing is, what am I going to wear? And then how much time do you spend in front of the mirror trying to get your hair to look right? Well, if you go down to DK Styles, they'll get it looking right for you.
They'll help you
They'll
out.
show you how to do that.
All right, we are almost out of time, and I want to make sure we give a really good message about UPS because they are doing such an awesome job. I mean, it is getting busy right now. People are already starting to return things from Amazon, because they're ordering right now for gifts,
Oh
and,
yeah,
and
they
then they're
start
already
returning.
returning stuff right
That's
now.
what they do. See, before the holiday, they start shopping, and they might have to buy 3 or 4 different sizes to see which
Mhm.
one's going to fit and all that, and so they return in the other ones. That's what
Right.
they do because Amazon's got this return policy. You can buy 10 of everything, find the one that works good, and turn all the other ones that don't work too good back.
That's right. And so just know that, it's already getting busy there, guys. So don't wait on your last minute stuff. Like I know a lot of you want to get your Christmas cards printed. You want to, send out packages. Well, get in early and get all that stuff done because it's only from here on out, guys. It is only going to be getting busier. The cool thing is this staff is just like so fast and so friendly. And I love the music that's playing. However, I know your time is precious. So get in there. They can do it all for you guys. They can make business cards. Business cards can be a Christmas present for someone, right? Maybe you know somebody that, has been waiting on getting business cards and they're so talented. Well, get them business cards for Christmas. They also do blueprints, document shredding, a good time right now to clean up your house for all the relatives that are coming in. Take your documents to UPS and get them shredded. They also can do notary services. They can do big canvas prints. I mean, unique gifts. Talk about it.
Banners, if you've got an organization and you need a banner for all of these festivals coming up in the springtime and the summer, get your banners made now, get them ready to go before springtime hits.
They're located at 513 Memorial Boulevard in Springfield. You can reach them at 615-384-0093. Again, that's 615-384-0093. One thing that I absolutely love is I just love emailing my stuff to them and having it ready when I go to pick it up,
I
and
always thought that
it's
was amazing. You can just email it to them and they'll have it ready for you and you can just go pick it up.
yeah, and that is just such a great feature to do, guys. You just put in the comments what you need, I need this many color, blah blah blah. Call me if there's questions and then voila. And I love that feature. So, our UPS store, very friendly people. We love all of them over there. Deborah's over there, Tom's over there. Go in, tell them you heard about it from Lee Marie and Steven on the Go Show. All right, we have about 4 minutes left. So y'all tell me what we're missing.
I'll
Other-
tell you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thanksgiving is tomorrow.
Oh,
And I want to say, hey, what's the best way to cook a turkey?
Ah.
What is the best way to cook a turkey?
Oh, Travis Park is coming up. When does that open, Linda? Linda's going to look that up and see when that opens.
Travis Park going to have the drive-through lights. It just seems like we just got through that. We were just doing that.
We'll check that out.
We're
Okay,
going to drive
thank
through
you.
the music and the lights. It's so much fun at Travis Park. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna be making stuffing. What are you making?
I don't know.
You gonna make a turkey? I was gonna make
I'm bringing
stuffing,
up.
take to mom and daddy's house.
Oh yeah. I'm bringing up the dates for. for
We got about
so
12.
keep on talking.
Just family alone is going to meet there. We're going to have about 12 to 14 people. So if anybody else shows up, we're going to be packing the house there. But with
I
my
know that
cousins-
Winter Wonderland is going to be they're extending it to more days. I heard, and so
it's going to be fun.
yeah. So I'm going to find out when it opens. So maybe Linda can find that because I'm looking at the city. Oh yeah, and the Christmas parade is coming up for Springfield. I think it's too late to sign up for it, but that's going to be super fun. That is going to be the first Saturday, December 6th.
We are going to be out there in the sidewalk, probably drinking hot chocolate. I would imagine.
Yeah, the city of Springfield's is a Christmas parade at nighttime. It's at 5:30 p.m. and it goes right down Main Street. It'll go right down right by Well in the Square. I think we ought to be open that day or something. Okay, so November 29th through December 28th from 5:30 to 9
The
is
drive-through lights.
the Winter Wonderland at Travis Price Park. Thank you so much, Linda. And then they also have special days, like they have some walkthrough and activity nights. For instance, December 6th, they're going to be doing some carriage rides, and December 13th. Yeah, so check that out, guys. I know the Springfield website, Facebook
Horse and
page.
carriage rides are so
Yes, and
much
see, they used to
fun.
only have that in the downtown area, but now they're going to also do it at Travis Price, which is great. And then, by the way, I did find out that it looks like this year for the downtown one, you don't have to sign up ahead of time, but you do need to. It's first come, first serve.
First
So,
come, first serve. So you get there and get lined up, get the kids bundled up, get their jackets on, get their hats on, get them bundled up, ready to go. And those children are going to have so much fun riding in the carriage with the horse. It is so much fun.
yes, yes.
All through old Springfield town. That's a over 200-year-old town there, right there.
Well, check out
On
my
the
shirt.
square. Springfield established in 18. I can't see 18.
1819.
1819, y'all.
Yeah. See my shirt? I love Springfield. It's absolutely fabulous. But yeah, so we have 1 minute left, and I just want to tell you guys you can go to my Facebook page. I'm going to continue to share some more events on there so that you can see what's coming and share those. And remember, guys, invite people. I know that some of you are, at home and sad or whatever, but the best way to just get out of that is to call somebody and say, hey, this is going on tonight over in Madison or wherever. I don't want to go by myself. Can I pick you up? You'd be surprised when you say those all in a row like that. They'll be like, oh, they don't want to go by
That's
themselves.
a way to get someone to go with you.
Yeah, and they're going to pick me up. Wow, and then you guys have a wonderful time of fellowship. So be a friend, guys. Be a friend during this holiday season. And also be patient with each other, guys. Whether you're in the car or in a store, you do not know what that person just went through. And oftentimes people are really
It's busy,
hurting.
busy,
Yeah.
busy, busy right now. Y'all got to be patient, right?
Yeah, you do. You really need to be
Patient on the
extra
road,
patient.
Be patient in the stores. I know
And
we
just
got a lot to do,
remember,
too.
like, I love one thing that Shannon will say to me all the time. She'll say, pray it, don't say it. Anytime if I want to vent about something, she's like, pray it, don't say it. So when you're in the store or whatever, or somebody cuts you off, you know what? That's an opportunity to pray for somebody, not to just be like, wow. Do not take Satan's bait because he's constantly trying to fire those little things at you and just be like, not today, Satan. I am a child of the king, right?
A strong man has self-control.
There you go.
If you want to be a strong man, you got to show some self-control.
And put on the whole armor of God, the whole armor.
There you go.
All right, guys. I think we are out of time, but I've had a lot of, yes, we are 9:01. Oh my goodness. Thank you all for joining us. I wish you all a blessed Thanksgiving. Remember,
Hey, and then if you want to, go ahead and go on Lee Marie's Facebook page and post up there, what is the best way to cook a turkey?
there you go.
I know some people like to use a bag and they have different temperatures and things that they use. I never use a bag, but if you know a good way to do it, go ahead and post it up there for me because I'm going to try to cook a turkey tomorrow morning, and I'm going to do the best I can with that.
All right, so what I will do is I'll post on my Facebook page, tell me your favorite way to cook a turkey, and then you guys can comment on that. Okay, how's that?
Please go to Lee Marie's Facebook page. And how do they get to your Facebook page?
Okay, it's just Lee Marie, 2 words, no hyphen, although I've been hyphenating it lately in other arenas. But just Lee Marie, and my profile picture says, rule number 1, put God at the center of everything. That's how you can find me, and that's how I always have to
I
remind
know the
myself.
first comment's going to say, tell your husband the best way to cook a turkey is to have his wife do it.
Oh, my goodness. All right, guys, you guys have been listening to 1100 WSGI. Make it a great day. Invite people out. Hopefully, we'll see you all at one of these cool things coming up. God bless.